Hello and a very warm welcome again. We are back with this topic of feminism. We talked about feminism, the basic introduction we had. Then we also talked about proto-feminism, that is the seed of feminism before the word feminism was coined. So the concept of feminism per se we discussed in that proto-feminism. Then we came to this foundational wave of feminism, that is the first wave. Now we are going to talk about the second wave feminism. So to begin with, this second wave feminism emerged in 1960s and continued through 1980s, and it was built upon the foundations laid by first wave feminism. This period focused on broader range of issues beyond legal rights, as we talked in the first wave, encompassing social, cultural, and economic inequalities. So it targeted and challenged the traditional stereotypes, the traditional gender roles, and advocated women's liberation in both public and private spheres. Now, what are the key themes and objectives? So before that, we will be understanding the historical context, and this second wave feminist movement aroused during the time of significant social and political upheaval. It was influenced by civil rights movement, anti-war protest, growing counterculture, feminist activities that began to address deeper systematic issues affecting women's lives. So what are the key historical moments? First is publication of the Feminine Mystique in 1963 by Betty Friedan, and it was a groundbreaking book that is often credited with the sparking of the second wave feminism. It ignited the second wave feminism by highlighting the dissatisfaction of suburban housewives and challenging the notion that women could find fulfillment only through homemaking and motherhood. Next is formation of NOW, that is National Organization for Women in 1966. It was again founded by Betty Friedan and other activists, and this organization aimed to bring women in full participation in the mainstream of American society. Next is the Women's Strike for Equality in 1970, and this event marked 50th anniversary of women's suffrage and included demonstrations across US highlighting issues such as equal pay, abortion rights, and free childcare. Now, to begin with the key themes and objectives, the second wave feminism addressed a diverse array of issues, including first, reproductive rights. Now, this activist of second wave feminism fought for women's control over their own bodies, including the access to contraception and abortion. The Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade in 1973, that was the landmark judgment that legalized abortion in the United States. Next, the movement sought to eliminate discrimination and the inequality in the workplaces, and they advocated for equal pay, maternity leave, and protection against sexual harassment. Next is educational equality, and they strived for equal opportunities in education, leading to the passage of Title IX in 1972, which prohibited sex discrimination in federal funded educational programs. Next is sexuality and gender roles. These feminists of second wave feminism challenged traditional notions of femininity and masculinity, and they promoted the idea that gender roles are socially constructed and advocated for sexual freedom and expression. Domestic violence and rape. Now, this second wave feminism, what they did, this movement brought attention to issues such as domestic violence and sexual assault, leading to the establishment of rape crisis centers and battered women's shelters. Now, some of the prominent figure: figures in the second wave feminism. First is no doubt Betty Friedan, and she is again we talked about. She is the author of Feminine Mistake and the co-founder of NOW, that is National Organization of Women, and she was the leading voice in the movement for women's liberation. Next is Gloria Steinem, and she is a journalist and activist. Steinem, co-founder of Miss Magazine, became prominent advocate for women's rights. Next is Angela Davis. She is activist and author, and she linked the feminist movement to broader struggles for civil rights and social justice. The Red Stocking. Now, this is a radical feminist group known for their advocacy of consciousness raising and their critique of patriarchy and capitalism. Now, what are the achievements and legacy we see in this second wave feminism? Now, this second wave feminism achieved significant milestones that had a profound and lasting impact on society. First is legal and policy reforms. They brought legal and policy reforms in terms of reproductive rights, workplace equality, educational equality, and social and cultural impact. What they did, raising awareness and challenging gender norms. Roe v. Wade in 1973, this was actually the landmark decision by the Supreme Court that legalized abortion across US, and this granted women greater control over their own bodies, especially their own reproductive choices. This ruling was a direct result of the persistent advocacy of the second wave feminists for reproductive freedom. Next, as we also talked about workplace equality, Equal Pay Act in 1963. Again, this act aimed to abolish wage disparity based on gender, making it illegal to pay different wages to men and women performing the same kind of job. Title VII of the Civil Rights in 1964. This section prohibited employment discrimination on the basis of sex, race, color, national origin, and religion. Pregnancy Discrimination Act in 1978. Now, amending Title VII, this act prohibited discrimination on the basis of pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions. Next, we come to the education. Now we come to the educational equality, as we discussed. Title IX in 1972, this is a federal civil right law that prohibited sex-based discrimination in any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance, and this significantly increased opportunities for women in athletic and higher education. You can see the graph where after 1972, the graph increases for women, and the medals owned by this female US Olympians before and after Title IX. Now we come to the social and cultural impact, how this created the awareness, the consciousness, where we can see that we are now very much mindful about these issues of domestic violence, sexual harassment, rape, and initiatives like the establishment of rape crisis centers and shelters for battered women provided critical support and resources. Definitely, it also challenged gender norms, and second wave feminism questioned and critiqued gender stereotype roles, advocating for more inclusive understanding of gender that allowed for greater personal freedom and expression. To conclude with, the second wave feminism was a transformative period that expanded feminist agenda to address broader range of social, economic, and cultural issues. And this movement successes in achieving legal reforms, public awareness, increasing public awareness, influencing educational and cultural institutions that definitely had lasting impact. Also, it emphasized on the systematic change, intersectionality, and challenging gender traditional roles that set stage for subsequent feminist movements. Also, it fostered the development of women's studies programs and feminist literature, which became an integral part to academic scholarship and cultural understanding. Now, these are some of the books you can go through for the second wave feminism. Till then, happy learning. Will again meet with this third wave feminism, the next video. Thank you, all of you.